Just getting some stuff set up. Let's get started though. I just merged a couple of pull requests from Dependabot. To bump the version of Rails and bump the version of Turbo Rails. So just waiting for those to install. One thing I did before starting the stream was just work on these styles to get some basic dark mode support for the Tricks editor. Just to show you what that looks like. It's just this, and in light mode looks like this. So at least both of them look reasonable. And that's just applying a few classes. It's mostly backgrounds and borders, text classes. Okay, got the new versions of Rails and Turbo Rails. Let's restart our server. So first thing I wanted to check out today is this pull request from Dom Christie, which is trying to make our conditional view transitions a bit better. Just as a quick reminder, we want there to be a view transition when we are moving between a show page and an index page. But we do not want there to be a view transition when we are moving between show pages. And what we had originally done was add this event listener for the navigate event, added these data attributes to the HTML element, the document element, to set the path we were coming from and the path we are going to for the navigation. And then using those to scope our view transition declaration. The problem with this is that this event listener is Chrome only and is only ever going to be Chrome only. So it's not sufficiently robust for our web application. We need something with broader browser support. So what Dom has suggested here is to conditionally add a view transition name to the aside element on the server side. And as a refresher, the view transition name is what tells the browser engine to apply a transition animation to that particular element and all of its descendants. So it's effectively like telling the browser, I want you to take a screenshot of this element and then run the transition animation between the two screenshots of this element. So let's pull this down and see how it runs. Just restarting our server to make sure that that is set up correctly. So now we don't have any event listener here in application.js. And in our layout, we are conditionally adding the style attribute, which sets the view transition name, if we are going to yield the content from a show page. Let's make sure we've got our view transition meta tag. So we do. So let's go see what it looks like. So navigating from show to index doesn't quite work because there is no content for on this side, so the browser doesn't take a snapshot of this this direction. I am trying to tell if this animation is being applied. Let's take this 250 milliseconds, turn it into 1 second. Try to see if we can see this here. Okay, so going from index to show, it is being applied. We're just doing a very minor slide. Yeah, 30 pixels. Let's see what 30% here does. Yeah, that's a little bit more noticeable. It's so difficult for me to see. And what I probably need to do at some point is record my screen and slow down the video to really like study it slower, since I can't get access to the source, and slow it down that way. So this is a good start. Let me record a GIF here to attach. And maybe Dom will be able to help us out here. And save that. Okay. That's a solid start, but I am not quite ready to merge that in. So let's think about what we want to tackle today. Um, there are a few different things that we need to do. We need to add a way to update the description of a task without needing this button down here. So I want to add a keyboard shortcut to this. I want to those styles are off. I want to add a way to create a label. I want to keep this popover open across Turbo Drive navigations. And I want to actually make lists a real thing. But I got some suggestions from Twitter on how to make our tricks editor support a keyboard shortcut to submit. And the basic, so I was hoping that there'd be something built in, but there isn't. So we're just going to have to add our own event listener and set up. Let's just put this into application.js here and set up our callback to submit our form. I think we should use request submit. And I also want to change this to make it such that you have to do command enter or control enter. So let me refresh my memory on keyboard modifiers, JS keyboard modifier keys. JS key down event meta key. Well, I'm just going to use that for now. I'm not 100% sure that that will work precisely as we want for Windows, but we will learn. Hello world. Okay. That worked. Not bad. Let's commit this. Add a keyboard shortcut. Ooh, you know what? One pause. Let's hide our form submit button. And yeah, add a keyboard shortcut to submit the task description text field form. Nice. That is another to-do done. So we've got dark mode here. Got rid of that button, but we can still update this. You see that that is persisted. So let's come over here. First, I want to fix the style. I have no idea why it is so light. Has checked BG Slate 300. Okay, I need a dark mode for this. And dark hover, I don't know. Let's try 800 for now. Is that what we do on hover? Is that the same? Dark hover BG Slate. I think it is a stronger selector than our hover selector, so we're not seeing the hover state. So right now it's applied, background color 30, 41, 59. But if I hover, our hover is present, but it is losing to our has selector, which has stronger specificity. So yeah, that's okay for now. That's okay for now. Let me just do a quick commit here. Add dark mode class for selected labels. So one thing that I think is that this will stay open if we are morphing. Let's get out of here. So if we go to our Turbo handbook, we add our global yes please morph meta attribute. Don't need you open anymore. Let's get this page up. Yeah, it stays open. But there was a reason that we turned off morphing. And the reason that we turned off morphing was, among a couple other things, but this state is not being applied to the page. And I recall, yeah, let's just do that again. I recall seeing that the server is sending back the correct HTML. Where are we? LIs. Aside. So we're in our header. All right, this says complete. Let's hit it again, toggle the state. Don't need to. Come down to our aside, and it says completed. We're using our filled. So the server is sending back to us the data that we want, but it isn't getting applied to the page. And I don't know why. I don't know why. Yeah, I just don't see anything here. So, given that it isn't working the way that I want, I am inclined to turn morphing back off and to come at this problem of keeping our popover open from a different angle. So how might we do that? I don't know, but let's try some things. So first thing I'm going to try, let's wrap this in an ID. So let's say, let's do DOM ID task labels. Let's just wrap our entire details element in a DOM ID. And let's start off by just checking everything looks right. And let's see what happens. So we still get all of that, but it is not scoped. If there was some way to determine, so we could like dynamically add the open attribute if our request was a turbo frame request for this particular frame. So I wonder what information we have available to us on the server side, on the request. What? Let's see, Rails controller. Check if request is for turbo frame. So we've got this helper. Let's throw a quick one of those in there. Turbo Rails. Why, oh, why is this not working? Let's pull this out. Let's go back to our controller. We'll just come up here. We will do some old-fashioned. All right. It is a helper method there. Do they define it as private? Included to. Oh, turbo frame request ID is the helper method that they expose. I see. I see. So now I bet if we came back here and did this, we wouldn't blow up. Okay. It's not there. Oh. I was confused as to why this was not a turbo frame request, but our form, we are using a big form. It's a kind of long-winded way to say it, but we have this one form tag inside of our header. Let's just collapse some of this stuff so we can see it a little bit better. So this one form tag inside of our header, and our turbo frame is inside of the form tag, not the other way around. And so it isn't submitting the form as a turbo frame request. So I think that it might make sense in this context to decompose this header and the various interactions that we have to allow them to each just have their own form. So take one big form and break it down into a bunch of small forms, one form wrapping all of our inputs. Which, if you haven't really challenged yourself to do modern, advanced UIs and interactions with the simplest possible tools available to you, you probably have not been confronted with the need or the impulse to do something like this, but this is actually a maneuver that, hey, Pratik, no problem. Thanks for stopping by. This is actually a maneuver that I use fairly often because um, it enables interactions like this, right? This is like the button two pattern, but with visible input elements, right? So you like really constrain your form to a very small surface area, like one input or a field set, and you maybe have the same form talking to the same endpoint, the same controller action, spread out in multiple places on your page. But for this kind of interaction where we want you to, press. Well, yeah, I need to fix going this round, but where I want to just like press enter, I want you to like atomically save the individual pieces. And let's drop that. This is actually going to work quite well. Let's see if we did anything. No, we haven't. So we're inside of our div. And let us put our form right here. Where's this line 378? Oh, yes. Well, we don't need that at all. We've got our separate. Well, actually, I say that, but let's put that here. I'm also replacing these hidden classes with SR onlys to make sure that these submit buttons are accessible to screen readers and also to our testing harness. If we remove them from the DOM altogether with the hidden class display none, then we limit their utility. So we just want to make them visually disappear without actually ripping them out of the DOM. We want the DOM to have the submit buttons there. Okay. Let's try this again. Content missing. Something is happening. Let's come to our server. True. This is a positive change. Whoops. What is up with content missing? Let's go in here. Let's look for aside. Oh. Aside is not present. What are we rendering here? App views tasks show. That's what we want. Main. We end main. And we end content for aside. This is odd. Okay, let's try this one more time here. Why do we not have we start our patch, call update. Update sends us back to show, call show, we run show. App views tasks task. This would suggest that we are successfully, we're calling this partial. This partial is getting rendered inside of here. It's making a SQL query. The partial is rendered, but our response does not include it. So I don't know what's up with that. Let's go look at what this layout is doing. Well, that's nothing special. Aha. It's nothing special indeed. We are bumping into edge cases. Okay, so in our application layout, we are defining a content for slot inside of our body. But when we render a turbo frame request, that request is rendered inside of a turbo frame layout. I'm guessing that this is to minimize all of the script tag stuff, not merging it back in. But it's wiping out what we want to do. So I'm going to try, we're going to overwrite it. We're going to define our own. Turbo Rails frame.html.erb. You can pull this back up. We will start with the exact same setup, but inside of our body, I guess this wasn't really doing much for us. I don't know what it's doing, so let's take it out. I don't know. Let's just throw this whole thing in there for now. Let's see what happens. Okay. So why is this still here? We're not on that branch. It must have gotten pulled over. From our editor, discard these lines. And bring that back like so. Okay, anyway, that gets us sort of where we're going. I don't love this. I don't know the right thing to do, but all of this was to bring us to a point where in this turbo frame, we could say, add the open attribute if this was a turbo frame request. So not too shabby. I'm not 100% certain that this is the best way to solve this problem, right? Just to be clear again, the problem that we want here is that we want this popover to be a form. We want to auto submit that form when we set a value. And we want to keep the popover open as we do a HTTP request and response cycle. As we talked about, morphing solved this problem. But when we applied morphing at the global level, the other interactions were not updating all the state, right? So like completing or uncompleting, toggling the completion status of our task, we weren't getting re-renders, right? The DOM was there, but it wasn't being applied. If I can figure out why that situation is not working, I prefer the morphing solution. But I wanted to explore this alternative solution, which at least gives us the various interactions that we want. Hello again, Command Enter. Okay, I don't know what happened the first time. So we're in the place that we want, but I don't love this solution, and I really want to understand why morphing wasn't working in this case. So let's put a time box on this. Let's pull this up. I'm going to stash all of this. And let's see in, I don't know, let's say 10 minutes, if we can get the morphing solution to behave the way that we want. So as a reminder, put our morphing there. There is a Turbo Rails method that sets this. I just don't remember the name of it. What was this meta tag? Turbo refresh method. Turbo refresh method. And it also set the this helper. And it does it into this slot, which as you saw was automatically being applied in our turbo frame helper. It looks like it's an emerging Rails default, right, to define this head content for slot. So I want to apply this. Thank you, Turbo Rails. So, right, this is our problem. Now, the default thought that I have whenever morphing isn't working is, okay, we haven't provided enough information to the DOM about identifying what is what. So our article here has a DOM ID, which honestly I would have thought was sufficient. But it doesn't appear to be. What is happening here? What is happening here? Let's put another DOM ID. Okay, let's actually remove a DOM ID. Just see if I can get. No. Let's try to get into an event. Let's event detail, current element, event detail, new element. Let's observe. That is our close. This is our button. Which has the state that we want. Let's jump in. ID test 13. Let's make it easier to check this. Query select. Let's do get element by ID. And inside of task 13, let's pull out our button action update. Button action update. Yeah, did I have a typo? No. Does query selector work? Let's try that. Why is I missed a closing tag. So before and after, I mean, that's what we want. Let's inspect this. Actually, this looks like a better method just to see what is actually morphing. Okay. So, where we have got a lot of stuff. I sort of would expect it to be more selective in what it does. Okay. So let's be more selective here. We're going to use the target if event.target. How do you do this in JavaScript JS? Check if element is a button. So let's log all of the buttons. Lots of buttons. Okay, let's not log them both. So if the button is that, if target, just gotta make this easier. It seems like nothing's happening over here, but let's go and check. So got all kinds of buttons. So all of these buttons, it is morphing. Is it not preserving scroll? I thought we scroll preserve. I really feel like I'm losing my mind a little bit with this stuff. Isn't the whole point that it is preserving scroll? Will you preserve scroll this way? No. Okay. We're beyond our 10 minutes. I am confused. I think what I need to do is I need to find somebody with a lot more experience with these tools and get them to come and pair with us to help us figure out how can we use these tools to accomplish the goals that we have. So for now, I am going to discard all of these changes, and I'm just going to bring back what we have in our stash. Because while I don't love it, it does do what we want. So points for that. Keep the labels pop over open after updating the task. I'll take the wins whatever little way I can. Okay. Let's just push on some things. Let's just close this. I guess let's scaffold some lists. list also needs a title. So a list has a title, an avatar, and a description. I believe this is the right keyword. Oh, but I haven't turned on active storage. Let me Rails install active storage. So let's do that first. I think you do install active storage as a part of action text. Yeah. Okay. Yes, we have. Cool. Oh, no, not that. Come on. This. What was the name when you're doing a migration? Attachment. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a better name. Let's tweak our migration. And our model. Close up some of this stuff here. Our controller. Okay, that's all good. Run our migration. So we have lists. Before we start like connecting them up to tasks, they have this idea of sections, which are these guys. We're not there yet. We can get this working. So yeah, inside of here, we want this to be a link to new list path. And let's also add a title here. New list. Okay, not bad. This has broken our layout. Let's try to figure out why. Because we are already in a link tag. It is a link within a link. That's not going to work. We're going to need to do a pattern where this is not actually a link tag. It's like a div, but then we take a link that is inside of it and have it be like clickable, but behind these buttons or links here. I have seen Andy, what is your name? I think it was maybe on Piccadilly CSS. No, maybe it was Adrian Roselli, link card, block links. That's what I was coming to. So this is a common problem where you wrap everything in a link tag. It's just got a lot of problems. But there are times where you want a block to be clickable as a link to navigate you somewhere. So what can you do instead? Here we go. I knew there was a demo in here somewhere. So this is the bad approach. You wrap an H3, an image, a paragraph, all inside of an anchor. That's the bad approach. Here's the good approach. You put a link somewhere in your block. So in this case, he's putting it inside of the H3. You could also have a read more link like this. You put it somewhere inside of your block. And let's find the relevant CSS. You then make your block relatively positioned. You use the after pseudo element on your link inside of the block, and you set it to inset 0. And so it's going to touch all four corners and cover the total surface area. So we are going to want to do the same basic approach. So we can make this browse all a link. We can make this a div, and we can tell this div you are relatively positioned. I'm just going to do all of this in Tailwind because it's a bit faster. And then we tell you, you are absolutely positioned. The after pseudo element. You are inset 0. What other key details do we have here? Display block. So now our layout is correct. And I'll also, let me just put Razzle. Put that in the DOM here. Our link is clickable everywhere. We have introduced a new problem, though, that it sits on top of these. So we need to pop these out, have them sit on top. So I wonder if I can just z-index this. Yeah, I can. Perfecto. Okay. So now we can come to our list new page. Let's make it look a little bit more like this. We can use our show page. Let's just take our task as a starting point here. Let's remind ourselves of the sections. Back to, I should make that a real link too. So we've got 3 sections. We've got our action. Then we have our header with our notice. Then we have our main body area. So on the new page up here, we've got a few more actions. We'll drop that one. So we've got a kebab and a star icon. Star, fill, and icon. 3 dots vertical, I think is what they call it. Right. We can drop that. Okay. Star, 3 dots vertical. Nice. The star is not a details summary. The star is just a button. It is an inert button at the moment. And the 3 dots hide completed tasks, mark all incomplete, delete. list. I have a delete somewhere. Yes. Let's take this menu and replace it. These Z-index issues sure are fun. I'm having fun, he said, trying to convince himself. Okay. We want to put a gap in here. That's too large. That's better. There is share. This list is private on the left-hand side. So we're going to do one div and another. Put these side of that. Now we want to run them between. I'm going to put some small text in there. This now needs to be its own little flex, justify end, gap 2. I don't know, 600? Maybe a bit brighter. That's better. Put border on this, see if it's doing lining these things up the way we want. Yeah, that's good enough. And we have this rounded button. So got a button. And inside of it, we have an icon. No, we don't have an icon. We just have some text, share. But we want it to have some classes. Not size 8, though. Okay, we can drop our borders now. We want it to have height h. And we want, let's say, px2. Maybe a tad more. Let's try px3. Okay. That works. That works well enough. Then we're going to want to put our form up here with our title. Okay. So we don't have a notice. What we have, if we go back to task, what we were doing here is this. So let's put this in here, and we want this to be a text 5XL. And I don't think we need DOM ID for this, but it is the title, and it's going to have a placeholder value of untitled. Oh, right. This is not a task. This is a list. And this should actually work, one would think. Hey, it does. Let's go back to new. We have our description. So we can throw that. Let's keep our separate forms. Right. What is indenting us here? Do we have some extra padding? PX6. Don't need that. Don't think that this is, yeah, taking up full height. Let's try to get it to do that. And then we want this to similarly. But it's not respecting. Not sure that these are needed. Let's come back. I forgot my H full. This. And let's say space Y6 to put some gap between these. But I don't want it to be this big. I don't want it to be forcing a scroll. I want it to be just as big as to okay. What height is this? Is it cascading H fulls 469? And if I put H full here, we get 421. It's not too bad. 421 and 32. 4 53. That shouldn't be so large. Where is this extra space coming from? If I delete this, it's perfect height. So it is these cascading H fulls. So maybe the better thing to do here is to throw this and this. Okay. And then if we shrink this down, yeah. That I like much more. Let me just reload this page. I think I might want to put it, yeah. I think I'm just going to throw an autofocus on this. Autofocus can be not great. I hear people talk about its problems. And fair enough, but on this page, it feels right. After we create a list, my list, let's make our show page look identical. Another list. And it just takes us right back here. So this is a good reason to pull out our main. And our main is not going to reference lists, but the list. And so now, that's where I did it. I got rid of it out of here, but I put it in here on this one page. Very interesting. So now new and show can do that exact same thing. Let's do a quick commit here, or a couple of commits. Update the navigation sidebar to include a link to lists new with a proper block link for lists index, which is another page we need to get working. Get lists new and show looking like super list and functioning. Awesome. Lists looks like this. Let's pull up lists index. It's going to have very similar structure. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab that. Actually, I'm going to grab this too. There we go. So we don't need this. We just say justify end. We can drop this. We can drop this. We can drop this. We can take this and make it a link to new list path. We want our class. And this is going to be plus LG. Yeah, I think maybe more like size 2. A list. Yeah. Oh, all this stuff is not right. Yeah, this is our size 8 problem. I want to make it like our button. Let's grab this class. Oh, size 2 is too small. Oh, okay. Let's go with our original size 4. And I'm just going to throw Okay. We got that working. This is going to look a lot like this. So let's pull that out. Here we go. Let's put that in. This is going to say lists. This is going to say, come on, let me select this text. All right. View, sort, and star important lists to the sidebar. Well, that's not what we want. Why are you so tiny? I guess I need to tell it to fill out. I wonder if I should do that over here, I guess, just to ensure. Let me go to tasks. Okay, that's better. Of course, this does nothing, but one step at a time. We've got this search input. I'll just build it for now. We will have to come back and make it real. Gonna need I just realized, you know what? I bet you Tailwind UI has got this. Come on. Where are we going to have a search bar? There's a search bar here, but it doesn't have the rounding. I expect that they've got one somewhere. Close, maybe down here in 4 inputs. Well, we can start here. Just, label as our only search. Let's just see what this looks like on the page. What is? Oh, is this? I was like, what is going on? Why are there 2 inputs? But yeah, that's why. Then we can take an example with an icon up front. Let's take that. Whoop, sorry about that. So let's take our input. Check this out. Better, but we need to keep the class that pushes it PYPL. But the rest of this looks okay. Yeah. There we go. So we can replace this with our icon helper search. Size 5, text gray 400. And the placeholder is search. Okay. It's got bit more. Yeah. Okay. Spacing's a little bit more anticipated. Don't need that. Okay, now you're right up against it. What's this spacing? It's about 1 rem. About 1 rem. All right, let's make this dark mode compatible. So we've got text gray 900, so that should be slate. And let's throw 400 on it. Ring gray 300, ring, that should be slate. I don't know, let's throw 800. I guess we need an explicit okay, you can do it a little bit here. So we can say dark BG slate 800. What are you doing here? About that, let's do focus BG slate 700. And focus outline none. Okay, we've got our inert search bar. Then we can make our list of lists. So let's come up here. Let's do H3 lists. And do that. So let's simplify a lot of this. Let's make this relative. We're going to do another block link here. So we will do link to list class after absolute after inset 0 after block. Not sure we need all of this actually. Here we can say hover BG slate 800. What kind of padding are we looking at here? That looks pretty consistent. Let's do like a P4, a rounded. Yeah, let's just see what it looks like. Link to list not title. Whoops. Backwards. List not title. No, let's just be specific here. List path. List. Another list. My first list. Okay. I like it. Why is it indented like this again? This UL, why do you even have so we're going to need our little avatars and our little stars. Let's just put some placeholders in here. We can throw a span. Let's grab like this little guy. Our star was in main. Let's pull you back out. Throw you in here, but let's shrink you down. Dark hover. So I'm gonna need to throw a Z10 on this, I think. I don't think that that's taking effect. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it doesn't need all of this background. Dark BG, don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need any of that. We can make you size 4. Okay, size 3. Nice. And we can throw an ML auto. Let's throw one of those on there, maybe a gap 2. And our H3 needs some styles. Let's give it some love. Text 2XL font. Ooh, maybe semi-bold. It's kind of a little bit ridiculous, but okay, you know, we're not here to judge just yet. All right, what's happening? MT 6. So no, not there. My bad. Here, get some. So, not like 100% perfect, but pretty damn good. Let me get the lists index page looking right. Ensure that tasks main partial has full width content div. I don't really know what to call that, but so we've got lists index looking good enough. Lists show is really lists edit. And that is working. Let me make sure that our form here all right, that's going to be application.js. Yes, all of our tricks editors are doing this. I'm probably going to want to wrap this up into a stimulus controller so that we can tell from the HTML side that we are doing this. This is a little bit too implicit for my liking. Hello world. Yeah, that's there. Very cool. So now we want to actually show these lists in the sidebar. So we don't have any sections. So I'm going to drop that. We have it in our commit history. Yeah. Actually, I'll keep you. So browse all UL. Here we go. So when and if we define sections, we'll have to deal with that. Let's grab our blank square back. Get our avatars set up. Oh, right. Okay. I'm going to do list.all and this. Let's use our link to helper. So link to, I can just say list in this context. We did not make this a link to. Let's get that working. Link to lists path. And we're going to use the text. Browse all. Okay. Look at that. Don't love that view animation, I gotta say. Let's turn that off here. That actually looks better for now. I've got to say, I'm finding with these newer tools like morphing, view animations, um, even to a little bit of a degree turbo frames, but less so for that. Like if you don't get them just right, I am finding them to be more problematic than they are useful. So I'm hoping to learn to use them with enough skill and precision that I can get their use just right. And I think that it would enhance an application. But I am developing a sort of default sense here that these are sharp knives that should not just be blindly reached for, run Rails new, turn all of this stuff on, and think that your application is 100% going to be better and you don't have to think much about it. Um, this might be a bit of an edge case with like our 3 column layout, and it makes things um, more difficult for morphing and view transitions. So maybe this application um, isn't ideal for using those tools like in the default way. But I do think that it does a good job of representing like what is more likely to be a real world application use case. Like it's not so common these days for web applications to have every page just have one resource in one controller action on it. You know, there's a reason why the concept of turbo frames exists. We build a lot of our web pages today are conceptually a composite of various resources at various controller actions. You've got a little bit of lists index over here. You've got some lists show with a bit of lists edit, in the context of tasks, which I should update this link to be tasks here briefly. You've got lists index with tasks index with tasks show with a little bit of task edit. Like there's a lot of stuff being composited together into a single page. And in that context, I am finding thus far as I'm learning these tools that blindly just turning them on, just saying, okay, morph everything, view transition everything, it's making my experience of the application worse. So until I get it just right, it is better to not use them. That's been my experience thus far. Let me quickly turn this link on so I can have a way to get to my tasks. Mhm. Um, Okay. Um, some decent progress here. I want to turn these avatars on. I want to connect tasks to lists and make the list editing work. I want to wrap this up in a stimulus controller, or do I? I'm not sure. I guess I do want like the behavior to just always be there. You don't have to opt in. Um, so actually, I guess I will leave that for now. And we need a way to create labels still. But what do we does this say anything about the time? It doesn't. I think this is a good place to stop. I'm approaching midnight on my end. So thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully, I can find someone who has some expertise using Turbo Rails, using the new Turbo morphing functionality, wiring that up with view transitions, um, who will pair with me sometime this week. That would be awesome because I'm just kind of banging my head up against the wall on some of this stuff. And I would like to be moving a little bit more quickly. So I think I'm going to put it to the side, those details, focus on scaffolding out the core functionality that we need. And along the way, demonstrating that, like, hey, you really can build some decent UI and UX just with like Turbo Drive. You know, Turbo Drive gets the job done. And once we get the core functionality built out, we can start trying to polish the UX. So I will see everyone again tomorrow. And until then, thanks for watching.